First of all, thank you for having me on KBS America. It's an honor to be on a Korean, one of the most popular Korean channels. My name is Artie Kisaki, and I grew up in Glendale. I've lived there for 36 years. I served the city as city clerk for 15 years. I ran all the elections. I was the first person in the city of Glendale as an elected official to visit Korea. And also, I was the first person to translate city documents to Korean when I was elected. My beliefs are that government works best when people who are living in a community are able to understand what the government is doing. So since then, as being city clerk, I sat in on over 15 years of city council meetings. Meanwhile, raising my family in Glendale, at one point I said, I need to be on council because all these decisions are affecting me. I know what they're not doing correctly. I know what they could be doing better, and yet I have to sit there and remain quiet. So in 2020, I ran for city council. I was elected in March. 2 weeks later, we went into the lockdown for the pandemic. We've just come out of it in the last 2 years, and we are now in the term for our re-election, and I'm seeking a second term to continue serving the people of Glendale. First of all, when I ran, no one expected the pandemic to last as long as it did. We thought it would be a few months, maybe the lockdown. We'll let the pandemic pass, and then we can go about our business. 2 months of lockdown lasted into 6 months, lasted into almost over a year and longer in some other areas. So we had to pivot. We had to make decisions like, how do we keep our community safe? How do we make sure businesses are not going out of business? So we took the tax dollars that we were getting from sales tax, put it back into the local businesses, started helping landlords as well as tenants who were falling behind on their rent. So now the last 2 years, as we've emerged through COVID, is really dealing with what the city needs. So dealing with all these issues to make sure that the city can provide the services that our residents need at a cost that they can afford is our biggest challenge. And as you know, as your viewers know, I'm sure in Korea as well as in the United States, the cost of everything has gone up. When eggs are almost $10 a dozen, we can't expect to pay our workers the same amount or for materials or for anything in the city at the same levels. What we can do is figure out ways of how to respond to it. So for instance, the city gets tax revenue, the city collects fees. So we need to look at what's a reasonable rate. If the price of everything else is going up, how do we reasonably raise our rates to keep up with it? Because we have employees we need to pay as well, right? Some of the problems we've had is that when prior councils in years past, they didn't raise the rates and everything else went up, then we had to make huge increases. So when we do an increase of utility rates that are almost 30%, it's like a punch in the face. People say, where did that come from? Well, because we didn't increase it slowly every year as we should have. So running the government in a responsible way helps make us predictable, lets people know what to expect. If you know next year your rates are going to go up by 2%, you can prepare for that. Everyone can prepare for that. Businesses, residences, schools, you name it. But unfortunately, we didn't. Well, I'll give you one example of when we didn't raise rates. We didn't raise rates during COVID because we knew people were struggling. To ask people to pay more when no one is making money, some shops are completely closed, didn't make sense. But now we have to bring everything up to the market rates that they are so we can keep our streets clean, keep our streets safe, hire police officers, hire firefighters, encourage more businesses to relocate to Glendale. Businesses want to be in the places that are safe and that are clean, that have nice streets, paved roads, and those are the things we need to focus on now in these next 4 years. I don't think that there's any conflicts about the statue. The statue is in Glendale, will stay in Glendale. There was some issue as to where it would be located while the construction of the American Armenian Museum was. But in terms of what the statue represents, which is the terrible tragedy that befell Korean women, Filipino women, women from China during the Imperial Japanese occupations and the Second World War, that is a historical fact that everyone should know about and should learn about. Just like the Armenian genocide that happened in 1915 when over 1.5 million Armenians were killed, that Turkey still denies to this day, there are many countries, many cities who have recognized what has happened and have statues that commemorate that genocide. No one should ever cave into political pressure and deny historical facts. So in terms of the Korean Comfort Women statue, it's in Glendale, it will stay in Glendale. But here's the other reality of it, that Japan and Korea, when the presidents met, when the leadership met, had certain agreements. And we hope, as an American citizen, I hope that Korea and Japan, who are our two strongest allies in the region will find ways to move forward together, because there are bigger challenges in that region as China decides to increase its influence. I'm very proud to have visited Korea. I'm also very proud to have visited Japan. What makes America a wonderful place is that people from both countries can come, and within a generation we're all Americans fighting for making a better democracy.